Growing up, my Nana always had what she called a ratty old scone laying around, just in case we came over for tea. They weren't expensive to make and super delicious. To this day, these are one of my favorite foods. Whether I'm sitting at home or out camping, you can never go wrong with having a few of these ready in your freezer. So let's get straight into it. Grab a scale and a bowl. Measure out 110 to 120 grams or half a cup of white sugar. Next, measure out 280 grams or 2 cups all-purpose flour. Keep in mind, you might need a little extra flour for dusting and adjusting the dough's texture. Crack 1 large egg and set it aside. For leavening, you will need 1.5 tablespoons or 15 grams to 20 grams of baking powder. Salted butter. It should be refrigerated, not room temperature. Cut off 4 tablespoons or 70 grams by weight. $67 grams is close enough. For the filling, I'll be using dried cranberries for 160 grams or 1 cup. You can always add more or less depending on your preference. While we're at it, let's add in some white chocolate chips, maybe a half a cup. Let's just add the rest of the bag. Don't have much left anyways. Lastly, we will need 125 milliliters or half a cup of milk. Today I'm using 2% high protein milk from Naturel, but you can always use whatever you like. A common substitute is buttermilk. Grab a large mixing bowl that will give you plenty of room to work with. Add in your flour, sugar, baking powder. Give it a stir, making sure that everything is evenly mixed. You don't want to accidentally get a mouthful of baking powder when eating these. Now, add in the cold butter and mix it into the flour. Using a fork can help with this process. If using your hands, rub the butter and flour between your fingers until you get a sandy texture with pea-sized butter pieces. Pastry cutter works great too. The small pieces of butter create pockets of steam when baked, leading to a light and flaky texture. Also, mixing the butter evenly prevents dense and/or dry spots from forming in the scones. Add in your filling of choice, in this case, dried cranberries and white chocolate. For a more savory scone, try using shredded cheese and bacon. Give everything a toss in the flour, making sure everything is evenly distributed. Make a small well in the middle and add in your milk and eggs. Now, give it a whisk until the milk and egg are combined. At this point, I like to fold in the dry ingredients by hand. Remember, the more you work the dough, the more dense and flat the end product is going to be. Empty the dough onto a floured surface and form it into a disc shape. I like to keep the dough about 1 inch thick. Now, use a knife to cut them into 8 even pieces and place them on a lined baking sheet. Now, let's take them over to the oven and bake them at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes or until they're golden brown. If the tops brown too quickly, you can always move them to a lower rack. For extra crispy tops, brush it with a little bit of milk before baking. Let the scones cool on a pan, and then they're ready to enjoy. These warm, flaky stones are exactly like my Nana's and don't disappoint. So give them a try and let me know how you like them. If you're looking for something else to try, YouTube has some videos on screen they think you'd like as well. And as always, thanks for watching and see you next time.